Hey, what's up everybody? This is Dr. Andrew Kim, MD, and today we're going to continue our video series on how to fall asleep fast, and we're going to focus in on foods that can help you sleep. And we're going to play a little game of fact or fiction, all right? And what do I mean by that? Well, in my last video, some subscribers said, well, Dr. Kim, you listed a lot of things that we need to avoid or limit, like caffeine and chocolate and alcohol and fast foods, all the good stuff, Dr. Kim, all right? So what are some foods that can potentially help me fall asleep? Well, I decided let's have a little bit of fun with this today. So I jumped onto the good old Google machine and YouTube machine and I typed in foods that help you fall asleep. And you get bombarded with a ton of beautiful videos with these beautiful video montages and soothing voiceovers and very relaxing music, and they're filled with cool stuff, but unfortunately not filled with a lot of factual information or explanations of the science behind some of these claims. So I said, let's pick some of these popular foods and make some videos and play a little game of fact or fiction. Is there any truth behind these claims, or is it all just BS? Okay. One of the top results, and this is what we're going to review today, one of the top results on YouTube that pops up are tart cherries or tart cherry juice. Why the heck would tart cherries help me fall asleep? Well, the theory behind it seems to be related to something called melatonin. So what is melatonin? Melatonin is a naturally occurring hormone that we already have in our brains and our bodies, okay? And each night, when our brains detect that it's changing from light to dark, our brains release a natural spike of melatonin. So our levels of melatonin at night are much higher than the levels in the daytime. And it's this spike or this signal that kind of tells our body, hey, it's time to slow down a little bit, time to get ready for bed, stay on schedule. Okay, so it's kind of a signal to help us stay in a natural schedule or a natural rhythm of sleep. Okay, but does it actually work? Well, look, the fortunate thing is we actually have a decent amount of research on melatonin supplements. Okay, and the research and the clinical trials suggest that for certain people, keyword certain people, it can actually help treat their insomnia, especially if you're dealing with someone whose sleep schedule is kind of out of whack. And as a physician, for certain patients, when it makes sense, I do actually recommend trying melatonin before jumping straight to prescription sleep medications. So let's get back to cherries. Cherries, tart cherries in particular, seem to be a natural source, a rich natural source of melatonin. It's a naturally occurring food that has melatonin in it. So look, if it could help people, melatonin supplements can help people, then why not natural sources of melatonin? I think it makes sense. So when it comes to our game of fact or fiction, when it comes to tart cherries or tart cherry juices, I'll say I actually give it a thumbs up and say, why not? It might be worth trying. Now look, to end this video, let's go over two quick tips that these videos tend not to explain or go over, all right? Tip number one, when it comes to the timing of when to take melatonin, all right, we have to remember this. Melatonin doesn't work like a knockout pill. It's not a powerful sedative, okay? Unless you're very sensitive to this, and some people are, for most people, it's not gonna knock you out. And that's a mistake that I see some people make. Some people take it right before bed, go under the covers and say, I don't notice anything, right? Well, it's actually recommended that you take melatonin supplements actually closer to about 3 hours or so before bedtime. So about 3 hours before bedtime. So if that's the case, and we have this research, and we have these recommendations, I would say we should probably try to apply that to natural food sources of melatonin as well, all right? And what I mean by that is, look, there's actually been a few studies that show when you consume melatonin-rich foods, all right, that it actually takes a couple of hours for that melatonin level to rise, okay? So it doesn't happen right away, but it takes a couple of hours. So if you're going to focus eating melatonin-rich foods, I would suggest eating it or drinking it a few hours, like 2 to 3 hours before bedtime instead of right before bed, because you're actually not going to get that rise in it, and we should kind of copy the research that melatonin supplements have already provided us, okay? So we should mimic what we already know. Now, look, the other thing is, how long should I expect results to take? With melatonin supplements, usually takes a couple of weeks to really even start noticing a difference. So the same thing, if you're going to eat melatonin-rich foods like tart cherries, I would recommend don't just try it for a day or two, give it a couple of weeks and see if it works. If it doesn't, worst case scenario is you got your daily fruit consumption, your daily fruit intake, and that's not a bad thing necessarily. Second tip is, what are other sources of naturally occurring melatonin? All right. Somehow the cherry industry has gotten the public relations monopoly on being associated with melatonin, but it's not just tart cherries, okay? So when you Google this, you'll find this as well. I'm not going to list every food, but there are other sources of natural melatonin, all right? Even other fruits like strawberries, all right? Even grapes, there's melatonin in grape skin. Other fruits and veggies, things like tomatoes, asparagus, broccoli, cucumber, okay? There are even different types of grains like rice, barley, rolled oats, and even different nuts and seeds like walnuts and sunflower seeds. So when you Google or YouTube melatonin-containing foods and you see these beautiful, glorious pictures of tart cherries, realize there are other sources of natural melatonin that you can try out as well. So look, I hope you enjoyed this little game of fact or fiction, and hopefully this just adds to your list of things that could potentially help you fall asleep. But remember, insomnia is a tough son of a gun to tackle. So in my opinion, you gotta throw the kitchen sink at it. You gotta cut out unhealthy things like we talked about in our other video, practice good sleep hygiene, address your medical and psychiatric issues, and yeah, if there's a chance even your diet and your food can help, why not give it a try? If you like this video, if you like this content, if you want me to do some more fact or fiction, please like this video, please comment below, and please subscribe. Everyone out there, please be happy, be healthy, be well, and be safe during these times, okay? Please, this is Dr. Andrew Kim, signing off. Have a good one, everybody.
You left me stranded, looking like a fool. All those nights alone.